Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior Podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hey y'all, just a couple of reminders. First things first, if you are not in my free Facebook group called Healthy Together, you definitely want to make sure that you're in there. You can sign up at ebonycolina.com/healthy together. The other thing I want to remind you of is don't forget about my thyroid guide that is jam-packed, full of resources, tools, tips, strategies, as well as a little bit of my personal story for you to help you along your journey, regardless of whether or not you're new to this or if you're a veteran. And lastly, you can pick that up at ebonycolina.com/guide. Now, we are continuing on with this series of just fighting fatigue. And last week, I talked about diet, and this week is the crux for me. And that is mindset as well as stress management. So for me, the two go hand in hand because the way that I envision my life, the way that I walk through things, the way that I process information, I've learned at times can be very different than those that have been around me. And I realized that this has really helped me in the long run. So first things first, let's talk about stress management. And if you have lived in this world for any amount of time, you know that life is stressful, especially from an autoimmune or thyroid condition perspective. And one of the biggest things that I had to learn how to do was breathe. And I say that because literally when I get really stressed out, I hold my breath. And when I was really sick, one of the things that I had issue with was getting enough oxygen to my brain. So imagine that by holding my breath, I made my condition worse than what it was. So I want to give you 3 tips for stress management. And I've already technically said the first, so we'll say it's 3.5. But technically the half part I'll say is to breathe. The first thing that I want to talk about as it relates to stress management is how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is the item that you're stressed out about. Meaning, is this going to do harm to you or your family and loved ones? If you don't get said task done appropriately, is this going to make your life harder or worse? And then, additionally, is this thing going to cause you physical or mental harm? If you can go through those things to help you determine on a scale of 1 to 10 how that's going to impact you, I think that it will start to put things into perspective for you. The second thing is really, really important to me, and that is I had to learn how to plan things out and write things down. And as someone that was quote unquote young, I thought I could remember everything. I thought that I just knew all there was about everything. Well, I was wrong. Unfortunately, I got put in my place at a very early age, and I recognized the importance of planning things and writing it down. Because for me now, if I don't write it down, it doesn't exist. So there's nothing wrong, especially when you're at work saying, I'm sorry, give me 1 second, let me write that down, because I want to make sure that I don't either forget to do this or that I don't get back to you in a timely fashion. I write things down via paper, and I also have apps in my phone as well as my task and reminder things for my calendar. And the third thing to handling stress management is really getting rid of those toxic people and relationships in your life that are not serving you. And the reason why I put this one last is because it kind of goes hand in hand with mindset. But this took me a very long time and a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of tears, and a lot of frustration because I'm an empath and I very, very clearly know that I tend to take on the feelings of the other people around me. And I had to learn, particularly through therapy, that that is not healthy for me. And I've had to let go of family, of friends, of my mom at times, of my brother at times. And for me, I had to learn how to honor that. Once I got those things out the way, I was able to really focus on what are the next steps that I'm going to need to do in order to really get my mind right. Because ultimately, once I started to better identify what those things were that really weren't serving me in terms of the amount of stress that I was putting on myself, because let's face it, I used to be a people pleaser. And I was constantly doing all the things in order to make everyone else happy, but I was so miserable. And again, I added to the fact that my thyroid condition really wasn't controlled and managed for a long time. So I just felt worse and worse and worse. But when I started realizing that there was something better for me, I knew that it was going to lie in what I told myself. And I started to realize during this process that I am worthy. And that is why I tell you to recite your affirmations. I am. You're not just a wife. You're not just a mom. You're not just a whatever. You are powerful. You are strong. You are talented, you are gifted, and you are one of a kind, as well as a unique gift to this world. And I want you to operate in that. And once I started to realize that in order for me to be my best self, I had to let go of all of the lies that I had been telling myself about not being worthy and not being a good person. Because when you have people that are stressing you out and when you have toxic people in your life, you really start to believe the things that they say about you. And I know for a fact that so many of those things that have been said to you just aren't true. And one of the biggest things that I've been doing is working with my big brother, Chris, to work on my mindset. And one of the things that he suggested was writing a letter of forgiveness to that person or those people. Now, you don't have to actually give them this letter, but write it down. And I literally just did this last Wednesday. And I had to write a letter of forgiveness to my mom. And it wasn't because she was a bad person or she did anything super harmful to me, but I had to realize in the moments where she had her limitations, they did have a negative impact on me. So I literally wrote her a note about all of the things that I experienced from my perspective. And at the very end of my letter, it says, I deserve more and I can't continue to hold on to the mistakes of someone that hurt you. Because I wanted to be able to break that cycle in my family of constantly feeling less than. So even on the days where I don't feel worthy or I don't feel like I'm doing a good job, or I'm not meeting the expectations that I set out for myself, which to be honest are sometimes very unrealistic, and I'm okay admitting that they are. But once I stopped trying to do all the things and to really recognize my worth, things just kind of started falling together. So I practice meditation, I practice journaling, and I do those things in terms of writing down what's stressing me out. Because if it has something to do with a particular thing that I can remove, I do it. And everyone gets a timeout. Not because I don't feel like talking to people per se, but it's because I need that mental space to just allow my thoughts to be. And there are times when some of my friends don't hear from me, and I just have to explain to them, it's not that I don't have, a reason or desire for wanting to just kind of be alone, but I just need to decompress because I hold on to emotions and feelings and things, and I just need to release them, and I need that space and that time to be able to do so. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to also be responsible and make sure you communicate that to people. So for me, being honest and upfront about working through the things that I'm going through in my head definitely makes a difference. And this isn't easy. It's not. I've been working on my mind and trying to process through my levels of stress for the last year. And I'm talking about being very diligent about it. So I just want to encourage you to take some time to really just write down, why is this important to you? Because if you can't identify who you are and why you're doing this, it's not going to work. So I really want you to take the time to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because this process is hard. And there are things about yourself that you're going to have to change. Not because you're a bad person, but in order to get to where you need to be, you have to readjust. So that is what I do on a sometimes daily basis, and it has made a complete and total difference in the way that I see my life. So I just want to encourage you to do those things and do them for yourself, because when you show up for yourself, other people and things, they show up for you too. So with that, friends, I really hope that you will be able to change your path and to manage your stress and to learn how to really expand your mind. So let me know. I am at Ebony Colina on Instagram, how you plan on managing your stress and adjusting your mindset, because I want to know and I want to cheer you on. And with that, be whole, be well, and take care.
Okay, thyroid warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.